Hello and welcome back, everybody. I'm Adonias, and today we have another topic from business communication, which is audience analysis. And it could be technical business writing or business writing. Let's have a look at what we have got today for you. Yeah, I'm here. I'm right here. So the first thing is audience. What is audience? Individual or group of readers or listeners. Difference between audience of technical work and other. Importance of audience. Technical document, there is reaction. Other document, no reaction. Response of audience. It could be follow procedure, or it could be make a decision or solve problems. This might sound a little weird to you, but do not be confused about it. We will be able to understand each and everything step by step. Okay, so let's move on to slide number 3. Audience recognition. Ask yourself, ask yourself a question. Who is your reader? What is his level of understanding? No perfect document without answer. Known. I mean, if there is no answer, if you don't have the answer, you cannot have a perfect document. So this says no perfect document without answer known or without audience recognition. Then we have inappropriate diction. If you have inappropriate diction, that's not going to work. Trust me, it's not. For example, it's going to be a jargon, accomplice. You might not know. The audience might not know the word of this. Okay, if you don't know, it's still all right. And there could be an acronym. Okay, this acronym is quite popular. People know about it, but they could still be people existing in the world today. They would not be aware of this NASA acronym. Okay, well, what we mean by that, you will be, you'll be told about it. Just be a little patient. We'll move on to the next slide, number 4. So, and then we have inappropriate tone. Too dictatorial for management, too lax for subordinate. No audience profile for better documentation. So these are the important elements and the points that you keep in your mind before you move on with your draft, with your whatever kind of document you would like to design. Keep these things in mind. When you have done it, let's now move on to next slide. Now, audience profile, that's what we have been talking about. This is the thing that we have been talking continuously. So there could be 3 type of audience: high-tech audience, low-tech audience, and lay audience. So not very difficult to memorize, right? High and low, and then there's lay. 3 categories. Let's have a look at them one by one. High-tech audience, same field of expertise. Example, 2 computer programmers are high-tech peers. This program is, is this example clear to you? I hope it is. Just have a go through it again. Listen to it again and you will find it yourself. If you can't listen, it's all right. You can still have a look at this. You can look at the example and you understand what I mean by that. Moving on to characteristics of high-tech audience. How would you find out? How would you determine the high-tech audience? So here is the point. Experts in the same field. Example, 2 people working on the same project. Compatibility, similar education, similar level of understanding, similar work experience. That's what we call high-tech audience, guys. And then jargon, acronyms or abbreviations known. If there is any abbreviation used or acronym used or jargon used, they both are fully aware of those acronyms. For example, there is megahertz, and there's a short term form of that. Unnecessary or offensive if explained. I'll tell you what we mean by unnecessary or offensive if explained. Okay, just let me tell it to you now. Let me just reveal it to you right now. Okay, there are 2 people who know the jargons, who know all the acronyms relevant or pertinent to their field, and you talk to them in abbreviations, and then you explain those abbreviations. It might sound a little offensive, so do not explain it to them. Okay, now if you still have a confusion, let us move on and you'll find it little more understanding. Next is how to deal with high-tech audience. Now, give minimum or no details, standard procedure, scientific mathematical theories. Give no details or minimum details. And then little background info or information unless project is new. Example, status report to old new supervisor. For example, you have a supervisor and he's a new one. You might want to give him a little detail. If your supervisor is old, I mean, he's been working with you for a longer time, so he knows each and everything. So you don't need to give him any details. If you give him, he might find it very offensive. Then use jargon, acronym, or abbreviation alone, like this. Example, STTB. No explanation, no full form. Now, moving on to the next slide. Low-tech audience. What do we mean by that? Familiar with the field, but do not know details. They are familiar with the details. I mean, they are familiar of the field, but not know. They do not know each and every detail. And then co-workers in other departments, boss, subordinates, people from other companies. I mean, if you're working in the same company, there could be multiple departments, and those departments jargons or technical vocabulary or words may differ from yours. You're working in the HR, and there could be people working in the other fields, like maybe in the advertisement or some other. So they might not understand the jargons that you use in your field. So that's what we call a little familiarity or no familiarity. I mean, it's in low tech audience, there's little familiarity. Moving on to the example, characteristics of low tech audience, understanding some jargons or abbreviations. That's one thing. The other thing would be have little background knowledge. They have little background knowledge, not a little, they have little background knowledge. Like, they do know somewhat, not too much. So how to deal with low tech audience? Give little background information, preferable to define concept, use acronym jargon or abbreviation with parenthetical definition. For example, what I mean by that, here is the example, HTTP. And then when you wrote this HTTP, then define that in the parentheses, hypertext transfer protocol. That's how you deal with low tech audience. And then lay audience, which is actually the last category. Now, low tech audience would be people who do not know anything, okay? No work experience or common knowledge. Example, manual of an equipment for a user. A user who is completely new and unfamiliar with any any machine or something. So there is a manual for him to understand. He goes through that manual, he or she goes through that manual, reads it, and finds the information to operate a particular equipment. I hope this is understood. Let's move on. Characteristics of lay audience. They're unfamiliar with the subject matter, no knowledge or procedure or scientific methods, and jargons, acronyms, and abbreviations not known to them. They're not aware of these jargons. So how to deal with them then? There is this answer. How to deal with lay audience. Write in simple language. If you're writing to them, write in simple language. Give them a depth of detail. Simple graphics, background information, avoid high-tech terms or give details. If you're using terminologies, give them details of those terminologies. For example, okay, we have the example later on. Explain acronyms and abbreviation. For example, HTTP Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Now, there is this abbreviation. There is a full form here. Let me just point it for you. This is the abbreviation or acronym, and this is the full form of that. And then here is this explanation part. This is what you need to do with lay audience. So it is a computer access code providing secure communication on networks. That's what is meant by hypertext transfer control. Maybe this one's clear. Thank you very much. And that was it for today. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.